In the realm of stand-up comedy, few have dared to venture as deeply into the uncharted territories of racial satire and social commentary as the legendary Paul Mooney.
I want everything to be black because I'm tired of everything being white.
Why is President Bush so sure Iraq has weapons of mass destruction?
Because he has the receipt. Next question. Yeah, that's what they like to do. Get his drunk so they can sell them. I live in New York. What am I doing in Mississippi? And I am so blessed and I'm so happy because the Mexicans got them a wake-up call.
He's probably one of the most successful comedians many people have never heard of, and he's certainly one of the most influential of his generation.
From his early days as a pioneering writer for Richard Pryor.
Yes, Richard was brilliant, but then there were certain lines that you go like, oh, that's on some next level, and then we go like, oh, that came from Paul.
When I met him, the first thing I noticed, he was very bright, 2 shades lighter than me.
To his iconic stand-up performances that challenge societal norms, Paul Mooney has left an undeniable mark on the world of comedy.
I want to say this to Pat, please. Please. Is Pat a crackhead? Is he on crack?
I don't think we get the Chris Rocks, the Kevin Harts, the Dave Chappelles without those early days of Paul Mooney.
Born with an unyielding commitment to speak truth, Mooney's comedic style transcends mere laughter.
No, listen, we have got to get back to Christ. I can't say Jesus because there's no J in the Hebrew language. I hate to start, but that's the way it is.
Serving as a mirror reflecting the complexities of race, identity, and power dynamics in America. As we embark on this exploration of Paul Mooney's life and career, we'll look into the intricacies of his unfiltered comedic genius.
In a way, he just gives it from his heart.
I mean, he co-wrote some of Richard Pryor's most famous routines. He's worked with Red Fox, he's worked with Sandra Bernhardt, he worked on the Sanford and Son Good Times. He was a writer on In Living Color, which was a breakout show for many of the most successful young comedians that you'll see today. He opened for Eddie Murphy, and yet he has never been featured on television as a performer in his own right.
Examining the impact of his wit on both the stage and the cultural landscape.
And he's talking about white folks, he's talking about injustices of black people, and he's unapologetically black.
However, this journey is not without its shadows.
To the extent of Richard didn't want him on the planet no more.
As Mooney's life had been filled with rumors, allegations.
Look at what they do to these black men after they've created a legacy.
As well as a complex relationship with fame itself.
The legacy is too strong to be destroyed.
From his scathing critiques on Hollywood.
That Hollywood's too much for me, but I got a film for them. I have a film for them. Desperate Housewives.
To the controversies that surrounded him, we'll navigate through the highs and the lows of Mooney's journey, unearthing the stories that shaped his narrative and the challenges he's faced as a black comedian.
And Hollywood don't like cocky, period. But cocky and it's too much.
Unafraid to push boundaries.
I felt he was saying things that so many people wanted to say but were afraid to say.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Paul
Mooney, Mr. Paul Mooney.
This is Paul Mooney.
Are you trying to make white people uncomfortable with the things you say?
No. Born in Shreveport, Louisiana in 1941, Paul Mooney would become one of the greatest comedic writers and performers in not only the black community, but the comedy world as a whole. He excelled in thoughtful jokes that were not afraid to take on the darkest side of American culture.
I met a young comedian at the improvisation. Keenan goes, there's a comedian at the Comedy Store that you gotta see. His name is Paul Mooney. And when he gets on, he says the most outrageous but true stuff.
I like my white folks white. I do not like them anything else but white.
Paul Mooney's jokes were so much enshrined on the negative side of American culture, racism, social injustice, that he was constantly accused of writing these bits just to utterly make people mad.
Are you trying to make white people uncomfortable with the things you say?
No, my parents are white.
Are they?
No, I'm joking.
You got me.
Funny.
The fact that there was a lot of harsh truth mixed in with these jokes made it hard for a lot of people to cope.
You know, I've heard you say several times that you're not angry.
No, I don't know why people say that.
You're just tired.
No, I'm not even tired.
What are you?
I don't know. I think I'm funny.
You are funny.
I know. I don't.
The ones who took the most offense were white people.
I remember the first time I saw him was in 1987. He was opening up for Eddie Murphy on this. And I remember hearing this guy was talking about white folks so bad. And I was like, who is this dude? Who is this man that has the balls to talk like that? Like, this man is just talking about white folks like crazy. I never heard nobody talk about white people like that before.
It was not a Paul Mooney show unless some white people walked out.
Because they thought they were coming here to see Mickey Rooney.
He would pretty much run that room full of white folks up out of there quickly, you know. I mean, within about 20 minutes of his act, white folks were popping up like toast because he kept it real.
9/11. I'm worried about my white friends. They ain't gonna make it through this. They're not used to this. I've lost 2 or 3 white friends. They've cracked up. They can't handle this. They asked me for my ID at least 5 times, dude. What the hell do they want from me? They can't handle this profiling. I'm opening up the school, how to be in America and survive.
When it came to these jokes, Paul Mooney was an outlaw.
White folks take everything from us. Don't want niggas to have a headache. Give me that headache.
I want to say this to Pat. Please, please. Is Pat a crackhead? Is he on crack? No.
Got a white policeman that they're transferring to Los Angeles for a trial, saying they couldn't get a fair trial racially in Oakland. So black is definitely the new white. But if a white man can have a fair trial, we're in big trouble.
And no race was safe.
See, California used to be Mexico. It is Mexico. And the Mexicans want it back. And I am so blessed and I'm so happy because the Mexicans got the wake-up call. Wake up. They were running around here thinking they were white folks. It was 500,000 of them. They scared everybody in LA. Everybody was terrified. I love it how they walked off their jobs and how they got real militant. I loved it. My yard was f***ed up for a week. I haven't had an orange in a month. All my Puerto Rican friends. I'm Spanish. I said, what'd you say? I don't know about the space program, but I know a nigga when I see one. You speak Spanish. You have Spanish blood, but you are because of slavery. Let me prove it to you. What am I speaking? English. Do I look like Queen Elizabeth? Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans, ain't nothing but niggas that can swim.
Mooney was extravagant when it came to speaking up for blacks.
Why can he never stay faithful to one girl?
Well, that's the giveaway right there. Girl. A black man wants a woman. He doesn't want a girl. Maybe that's why her man's not faithful to her. If she grow up and become a woman, he could be faithful to her. But that's from back in the day, in Africa in the beginning, when the white man went over there and saw the black man naked with his 12 wives. Because black men are used to having a lot of women. He saw us with, 12 wives, and so he ran back to America and made a law. If you marry more than one person, I think they call it bigamy, and you have to break it down, bigger than me. Yeah, black people can jump high. You gotta jump. Gotta do something when you're running from the police. The black man in America is the most copied man on this planet.
How he perceived the world, including Hollywood, to treat blacks, he put it on himself to use his talents to speak up.
Think, and it's to make them laugh. They're both. And it's also to send a message, and it's also to have some sophistication and some sort of class and some sort of good taste about what I do. Good. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X didn't die for nothing.
He often went on Opie and Anthony, a popular radio show known to troll the black community, including black comics, and he never held back.
Look at the world after freedom. When slavery, we lived with white people in their homes, okay? When we got free, white people don't even want us in their neighborhoods. It's about ownership. If tomorrow slavery came back in, the whitest area in New York, they would be on their porch. Welcome home, we've been waiting. We haven't changed a thing. Go to your room. It's the way it is.
I got a Roomba. What's that? It's an automatic vacuum.
But anyway, go ahead. Do your whole thing about it.
No, I'm just saying.
We blame you for everything.
There has to be certain things that
we take responsibility.
that you need to take responsibility for and address, not in an Al Sharpton way. That's what I'm talking about. Black. That's what I'm saying. Black leadership that does not address the true problem, which is black people have to take more responsibility about the problems that they're faced in the community. The high crime, the disproportionate number of crimes committed in black communities.
That's not true.
It is true.
White people commit crimes too. That's not true.
Not at a disproportionate number.
No, come off
than black people. It absolutely.
The prisons are full of white folks and black people and everything else. Why do you
10% of the 12% of the national population.
How much
50%
money?
of the prison
How
population.
much money does a white person steal?
I have no idea. A lot.
Well, it depends.
Bernie
Not
Madoff.
as much
Bernie
concrete.
Madoff.
Excuse me.
A lot.
Like what?
Billions. But you know what? All those people are alive to go. That motherfucker ripped me off. It's not one guy with a bullet in his head for $20.
But why did
Get smarter with your crime.
What are you talking about?
What the fuck?
That's not true.
How is that?
White people do more crime to white people than they do to blacks.
Of course, we're afraid of black people.
No,
we're not going to
listen,
do crime to black people.
Something's wrong with you.
No,
You're afraid of black people.
I am a realist.
Then when
I
you
am
look in the mirror,
honesty.
do you scream?
You know what's wrong? I'm honesty.
So when you look in the mirror, do you scream?
No,
You just
I
said you
am
were afraid of black
honesty.
people.
I am the
You just
face
said
of
you were
honesty.
afraid of black people, so you look in the mirror and you
No,
scream.
I'm talking about white society wouldn't perpetrate
Now you're
many
in charge
crimes.
of white. You're
Yes.
the spokesman for white
Yes,
society.
thank you. I am.
Yeah,
we wouldn't
And
perpetrate.
being part black,
There aren't
you
many
sound crazy.
white on black crimes.
He once asked Anthony, one of the hosts of this show, if he believed the FBI.
As many as there are black on white crimes based on the population.
That's not true.
Population. Absolutely true.
No, it's
FBI
not
statistics, my friend.
FBI
You
what?
don't FBI.
You believe them?
Fucking FBI.
You believe the FBI?
Yes, I
You're
believe
stupid.
the FBI.
Years later, the same community that had so much trust in the FBI are now a part of the main group that will tell you, don't trust the FBI.
In the wake of the FBI's execution of a search warrant on former President Trump's home, Republicans are expressing their distrust of the FBI.
What we want is accountability, we want transparency, and the criticisms that we're leveling against the FBI and DOJ are fully warranted.
When comedian Michael Richards went on stage and had a meltdown that implied they should bring lynching back for blacks.
Shut up! 50 years ago they had you upside down with a fucking fork up your ass!
Mooney was on the forefront speaking on this issue.
Would you have ever sort of been suspicious that there would be an event like Friday night?
No. No.
What's your thought now?
Well, you know, it's like, you know, I got phone calls about it and I didn't see it, and then I saw the tape and I thought I was at a Ku Klux Klan rally. It was like beyond belief to me. And for me personally, I think he had a complete nervous breakdown. That wasn't a stand-up. That was a breakdown. He outed himself. He said in the tape that, now you know how I feel, and he was screaming the N-word and carrying on and ranting. And, you know, we're Americans. We have the right to freedom of speech. We have a right to be funny as comedians. I believe in that. And he just crossed the line. It wasn't funny. There was he couldn't let me out of it. You know, he spilled the beans, and then he didn't pick them up. He left. So it made me think that he meant it.
Is there a way he can redeem himself?
Yes. He can redeem himself.
How?
He can take that same act and perform, at the Apollo. Then he can come back and talk to me.
All right. And by the Apollo.
No, I'm serious. Apollo Theater, the Apollo audience.
In Harlem.
He wasn't a crash dummy for the culture. He had no problem scolding the community in areas where he thought that we could do better.
The way things are in the world now, and our youth, and this self-hate, and this black people killing black people, the Ku Klux Klan they're in retirement homes. They don't have to do any lynchings. Black people are doing it to themselves. It's frightening.
It was due to this fact that he had a lot of other comedians intimidated.
I said, do we have a 10-second delay? I said, do you know that the show is live? Can you muzzle him? Have you talked with him? They said no to all three. So whatever go down, it's just gonna go down just like that.
They saw him as the one who held the black card in Hollywood.
Paul was the master. There go a nigga. You ain't no real, you know what I mean? Right. He was the stamp if you was a real in Hollywood.
Trust me, there were a lot of people wanted to talk trash, but they was afraid. He would tease me about being half black, half white. I wasn't really black and shit like that. And I was like, come on, dude. And one time I started talking about my mother being white. He's like, oh, nigga, you just trying to fit in, nigga. You trying to tell me you got a white mother, nigga.
Mooney displayed this power on one particular comedian who took offense to this black magic of his, Wayne Brady.
White people love Wayne Brady because he makes Brian Gumble look like Malcolm X.
Brady was the topic of a sketch wrote by Paul Mooney on the Dave Chappelle Show.
Such a fan? Well, y'all in that joke that Mr. Paul Mooney had. No. Y'all. Okay? I don't have to. Thank you. Good night.
He was not a fan of this sketch or anyone else who liked it.
Based on the fact that he felt that black culture would laugh at Bryant Gumbel and Wayne Brady.
He was angered to the degree that Dave Chappelle reached out to Wayne to apologize and tell him he did not think the joke was funny.
2 days later, Brady got a call from Dave Chappelle. Brady answered the phone and Dave apologized for the joke. He said that Paul wrote the joke and he didn't think it was funny anyway.
In America, there's a group of people that try to silence you from speaking about certain truths. Then there's another group of people that will fight for freedom of speech until you say something that they don't like.
You can do racial jokes as long as they're funny, as long as there's an out for me. It's like, look, I'm gonna do a racial joke for you just to prove it to you, okay?
Okay.
There was a white woman that was baking a chocolate cake for her little white son. She turned her back, he took the chocolate, rubbed it on his face, said, look, mommy, I'm black. And the mother slapped him, said, don't you ever say that in this house. Go tell your father what you said. He put the chocolate on his face, he went to his dad. Look, daddy, I'm black. The daddy slapped him. Don't say this. Go to your grandfather. I'm black, grandpa. He slapped him. Go back to your mother. The mother sit him down and said, Timmy, now what have you learned today? And Timmy said, I've learned I've been black for 5 minutes and already I hate you white people.
And on that note, Paul, I gotta go. Thank you very much.
You give a joke. Why does an audience laugh? Why does someone laugh? Someone laughs if there's a bit of truth to it, okay? They'll laugh, even if they don't like it. The bottom line is we're really discussing freedom of speech. That's what we're talking about.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an underline to that, and it's very scary. And that's what they want to stop. They don't care about race or anything else. That's what they want to stop. Because the comedians are the last gladiators, okay? The arena. We're the last one, you know?
I mean, but you could tone it down.
It's not about toning down. It's not that's a word I don't like. What do you mean tone it down? This was here when I came here. But tone what down? Racism was here when I was born. It'll be here when I leave. It's ingrained in this country. It's marrow, it's bone. It's not going anywhere. It rears its ugly head. I mean, people try to tell me, they try to make me responsible for it. I'm not responsible for this. I'm an American. I'm as American as apple pie. I'm reacting to this. I mean, I dare you. It's like someone telling somebody well, you wanted it. That's sick.
And I mean this from my heart. I'm serious. If you don't like what I say, just defend my right to say it because I'm an American.
I'm not Hollywood. I'm neighborhood. I have to stay neighborhood. I cannot be Hollywood. I'm neighborhood.
And I said, Paul, what happened? Homie, they're not gonna hire me. I'm too real. I'm too real. They asked me if I saw the show. I said, I saw it. All of you have stolen from me. All of you. In Living Color, SNL, all of you. First you stole this, then you stole my material.
At some point in Mooney's career, the same industry that helped build his career also became the main target of his fire.
That's why I love LA so much. That's why it's burnt twice. It is so racist. It is. It is. God is loose in LA, and they're used to the devil being loose, and there's a lot of surprises coming for a lot of folks.
Because The Color Purple now, as if the movie wasn't enough, it's on Broadway. They have songs as if the movie wasn't fucking enough. It's going to end up on ice too. I can't wait.
What you done to me, what I can wait.
Years before Oscar So White became a trend on Twitter, Paul Mooney was calling out these awkward trends.
Hollywood is crazy. At first they had the Mexican with Brad Pitt, and now they've got The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. Well, I've written the film. Maybe they'll produce my film, The Last on Earth, starring Tom.
It would be hard to debate that Paul Mooney is the godfather of these type bits.
When white folks, y'all be ashamed of yourself telling that lie. Cleopatra was black. She was black as Cicely. She was black as Cicely Tyson. She was black.
His Cleopatra joke was one for the books.
She was black. Egyptian. That's in Africa. That's not some small village in Sweden. And you keep telling that Greek lie. Oh, she was half Greek. That's a lie. She married a Greek for power. She killed him. She never even him. I can't wait for the reviews. I can't wait. The white reviews. She was absolutely brilliant. The makeup was phenomenal.
Even so much to this day, you can see memes online that originated from this well-written joke.
Meryl Streep, guess who she getting ready to play? Harriet Tubman.
When Paul got his opportunity to write for Hollywood, he did not do a lot of catering. He used these opportunities to point out the unfairness of the system. His SNL skit, Word Association, will go down as one of the most riskiest analogies of this system to ever appear on public television.
When Pryor hosted SNL in its first year, Mooney wrote the sketch Word Association, where a job interview erupts into a volley of racial slurs. 46 years later, still the most shocking and dangerous 3 minutes of comedy in network TV history.
Like when Richard did Saturday Night Live, and they do the famous sketch with Chevy Chase, the Word Association, and Richard is playing the janitor, and Paul wrote that scene.
We got one more kind of psychological test we always do here. It's just a word association. Bean.
Pod.
Negro.
Whitey.
Tar baby.
Paul Mooney had to be taken down because a lot of his social jokes were ahead of their time as far as what Hollywood had planned moving forward. Perfect example is his joke about the Me Too movement.
I did a show and it was all women, it was all females, okay? Those women that, that men are sexes and this and that, and women should rule, that Wonder Woman crap.
Taking point, this was way before the Me Too movement was birthed.
Crap. I went and I said, oh my God, this is going to be, to myself, scary. And I said some things about women's rights, and the women went crazy. They stood and they applauded me and said I was right. And I said, a bunch of you are uncle women. You talk all this stuff about women being in charge, and a bunch of you are like blacks being Uncle Toms. You just kiss that man's butt. Do anything he wants to do, just to stay in for the money or whatever. I said, you know he's a sexist. You know it. You live with him. You know what he's about. But you just go along with it because either for your kids or for money. So, and they stood up and they applauded.
Paul had thoughtful jokes on timeless topics that are still conversed today, like Eminem's position in hip-hop.
I like my white folks white. I do not like them anything else but white. I'm offended by Eminem. That black face without the makeup, I don't like it. Get me a rope and a posse and start hanging again. I'll find out who's white and who's black. Come on, Backstreet. Come on, we hanging niggas. Sing some of that. No, sir, we're white. No, sir, we're kidding. And come on, Eminem, drop some of that nigga. How much is that dog? Oh, everybody will be like that.
To execute some of the most divisive displays of black people, many times they would employ a black director, black writers, and black actors who would carry the controversy on their resume. Well, Paul Mooney came for them too.
Precious, I saw the movie.
He jumped all over the movie Precious when it was released.
Precious, I saw the movie. I ran out of the theater screaming. I thought it was a goddamn horror movie.
I was very offended by that movie. That movie was insane. Color Purple 2. Said the devil wrote this. I threw that. The devil wrote this. Only a demon could write that film.
And other directors, such as Tyler Perry, they were not free from this ridicule.
Yeah, Oprah and whatever the other man's name is. That man that dresses up like a lady. What's his name? Yeah, the one that has Alzheimer's. He's from God, he's a man. He just stay in the dress. He can't help himself. He thinks Medea's real. He thinks he's real.
The effects these pieces had streamlined down to his career, his friendships with other comics, even his personal life. When the hand that feeds you gets bit, well, that's when the feeding stops. In 2013, an incident occurred at the Levity Live Comedy Club, where fans reported that Mooney executed a joke about the Boston bombing, condoning it because African Americans were not the primary target. Clubs would begin shutting their doors to Paul, claiming that he was too crass and would leave comedy fans too uncomfortable for their taste. Paul appeared on Opie and Anthony, where he refuted these claims, saying that they were taken out of context.
We're trying to figure out what happened at the comedy club, because what's coming out is kind of sketchy. We want to know how it all went down, because I guess you had 20 people leave the club. And all we know is you said white people in Boston deserved what they got, and it was okay to lose a few limbs, and as long as no blacks got hurt, it was okay.
Oh, that's not true. Oh, it was more to it.
He even alluded to the fact that he was the victim of a white nationalist conspiracy, screaming that it was an obvious setup.
It was an inside job. It was a setup. It was the police.
You're thinking conspiracy?
No. The police did it. They did it before a long time ago. They had a like a hit out for me. I mean, not a mental hit, not a physical one. Yeah, and because they're all a bunch of they're into occults. It's got a whole bunch of things. They're into religion, cults about it, white power, Ku Klux Klan. I mean, they're into a whole bunch of stuff.
But did you preface it by saying white people got what they deserve?
No.
Oh, okay, because that's what people are saying that you said. Yeah.
Right. No, I said we, all of us.
So were you surprised? Were people walking out? Were they friends of the opener, the ones that were walking out and objecting?
Yeah, they came to see him. Oh yeah, I already know it. Because he was out talking to them, and there were people in the club who were also talking to them. The police came. A lot of email came in. Too soon. It was too sensitive. It was a setup. You can always tell when it's an inside job. You can always tell. I mean, when Kennedy was assassinated, inside job. You can always tell. When Lady Di was hit, inside job. Inside jobs, it always is in your backyard. It's always doo-doo, and it really stinks because you do it in your own backyard. People hear what they want to hear. It's selective hearing. I was talking about white people, but not about... You think I want white people to be blown up and all that kind of stuff? I even said that the dog got blown up, okay? And I said that the dog lovers, I said, if they ever find those people, I said, they'll cook them and feed them to the dogs.
He did not stop there. It even got to the point where he pointed out that Opie and Anthony were possibly a part of this scheme to attack his career.
And you know what? And people like yourself and your show and your crew and the people, and probably they have a double agent in there with you, working with you too.
Double agent?
I'm sure there's at least one.
Interestingly enough, this interview ended shortly after.
Yeah.
All right, brother. We'll see you soon, okay, Paul?
All right, Paul.
All right.
Thanks, man.
All right,
Thanks, man. Take care.
Paul Mooney's problems with clubs also came during the time where social media became more prevalent.
Oh. It's old Jay.
That camera away from me. Don't do that. Don't put the camera on me.
Hey, why you acting like that?
I wish you would.
Like a little bitch.
Every time.
It's your Jay.
Like that, little
It's your Jay.
Paul is proof. Everybody got a gay uncle that don't want to be told about.
I must say, Paul had a sense of humor. He didn't let him come in his mouth.
From his time with Richard Pryor to his passing, he fought off rumors that he was gay.
When I met Paul, Richard introduced him to me as Paulette. And he said, this is Paulette, and I heard it clearly as Paulette.
Next to her is what we call Miss Thing. We call him that with love and affection, as all of us know. Well, he hasn't let us down yet, has he? We worked together many years ago on the Red Fox show. We started writing together, and we walked into the office with a white man, and Paul what he did was sucked his.
Paul Mooney was thriving during a time where homosexuality was a taboo, not only in mainstream media, but even more in black culture. What would make these claims even more striking is that he was a longtime friend of Richard Pryor, who was pretty open about his sexuality.
Paul was with me once when I first fucked my first and he's been holding that over my head for 2 years. I f***ing it. I just want to say it now so nobody else can tell.
These rumors would take center stage when comedian Earthquake performed at the roast of John Witherspoon.
Paul Mooney, give it up for Paul Mooney, give it up.
I love Paul. Paul pissed me off.
He wrote a joke about Paul Mooney being everybody's gay uncle.
Paul Mooney is proof that all of us do have a gay uncle in the family.
This joke would not only shock the crowd, it sent Paul Mooney into a tirade.
I just want to say this to you, you black ass. Listen to me. About that gay. Now, I want you to get ready for this. I am old enough to be your father, and I want to tell you to tell that mama, that dyke of yours, to stop calling me. Because apparently she told you, because I f***ed her, and if I was gay, I would have f***ed you. All right, nigga? That's what I want you to do, and I want you to do 2 things for me. I want you to kiss the darkest part of my black ass, because you're going to need a flashlight. And on the gay side, suck my dick, and you don't do that good. Good night.
Some would say Paul would have been more celebrated if he came out the closet.
I think if Paul Mooney would come out what the gay folks call come out of the closet, he would be one of the top comedians. It's his hiding in the closet like he's not.
But he persisted until a point where shows would begin to get canceled again. But this time for a far more serious reason.
All right, Paul Mooney has just canceled the show. He's taking some time off.
Whoa, why? In the 2010s, shortly before Paul would start to fall in dementia, rumors began to spread about a secret immoral relationship between Mooney and Richard Pryor's son, who was an underage teen at the time.
Now, there were these allegations against him that he allegedly, according to Richard Pryor's ex-security, did Richard Pryor Jr.
A former bodyguard of Richard's, Rashawn Khan, conducted interviews where he stated that Richard found out that Paul had sexual relationship with Richard's son, who was around 13 at the time.
JoJo Dancer on, the relationship became fragile because Paul Mooney had f***ed Richard's son by that time. And I remember letting Richard Jr. know, here's how your father thought about it. Richard cried then because he didn't think his father knew.
In this interview, he would reveal that Richard Pryor even tried to put out $1 million hit on Paul Mooney.
So when Paul did what he did, it was a violation of friendship first, and then my son, you know. And in some circles, that's supposed to be dealt with. To the extent of Richard didn't want him on the planet no more. He shared it with me, and he said he wanted somebody killed. He said $1 million, I want somebody killed.
According to Khan, this relationship drove Pryor to an extreme guilt trip.
Yeah. He was hurt because it happened to his son, and he was really hurt, which I don't think Paul Mooney understood because someone that I took as a friend did that to me.
Some would even imply that that was one of the factors that led to Richard Pryor lighting himself up on fire.
Comedian Richard Pryor is in critical condition tonight and given less than a 50-50 chance of surviving after suffering third-degree burns over half of his body.
Police said Pryor was burned because some ether and cocaine he was using in his bedroom caught fire.
I was running because I didn't want to die sitting down. I just wanted to run out.
It didn't happen because Richard caught on fire. Richard burned. And that's what saved Paul Mooney's life today, present day, is because Richard caught on fire.
After these claims went viral, it wasn't just the club shutting their doors. This time, it was Mooney himself.
The allegations aren't true. This ain't the way to prove it by taking some days off. You gotta stand front and center.
Mooney's publicist will put out a statement. To add to that, his son, the Mooney twins, would combat these claims in an interview.
My response is few, Rashawn, few. Richard Pryor Jr. ain't said nothing about it. Yeah. So why you gonna tell somebody's business? You know, please.
Richard Pryor Jr. had a book and didn't say nothing about Paul Mooney.
Pryor Jr. says when he was 13 years old that his father, Richard Pryor, paid for a 26-year-old prostitute to break his virginity.
The whole about he put a hit on Paul. Richard Pryor was high every goddamn day. He probably put a hit on everybody. He probably put a hit on his mama. The timeline, this was in the 80s, and in 82, they do a film and in concert together, and you see him with Richard, and you see him with Richard in 85 and 86, on and on and on. The you gonna care? If you want to kill somebody, you gonna hang with them, especially if they supposed to be with your child, you gonna be their friend? What the is he talking about?
Ain't none of it true.
Exactly.
It's all lies, it's all gossip. Until Richard Pryor Jr. steps up to the plate and says somebody did something, then it's true. Why now that Michael Jackson, look what they did to Michael Jackson. Look what they did to Bill Cosby. Look at what they do to these black men after they've created a legacy. Then all of a sudden they get older, somebody want to crack and destroy their legacy? Are you kidding?
They stated that not only was their father innocent of these claims, but they'd never even known him to have any type of sexual relationship with another man.
Anytime we've ever saw our father is with women, beautiful women. I know he had women mistresses when he was married. That's all we know as our father. He was a ladies' man.
Also, that their father was not running from these claims. He was not well.
Somebody said Paul Mooney hiding. Paul Mooney ain't hiding. Wait a minute, Paul Mooney's not well.
He was suffering from dementia. Other comics would confirm that Mooney did in fact have a severe case of dementia.
And I was excited about being on the tour with him. And I get there, and then I saw the state that he was in. This was 2 years ago. He was kind of losing his dementia, was setting in.
To this day, Richard Pryor's son has not been clear on what happened with Paul Mooney.
How can any relationship be consensual if I was a teenager? People were debating what my age was, whether I was an adult when this happened, and it was wrong, period. I wasn't 18. It was before being 18, I know that. What happened in my life happened in my life. I may not name names directly, but the people who have done things to me know who they are.
But he implied that something happened.
There you have it.
Has Richard Pryor Jr. said anything else about this situation?
And he just didn't really want to talk about it. He said anything that happened when he was a teen.
Yeah, and clearly something happened. I mean, you could tell by his reaction on...
He wasn't like, no, that's ridiculous.
Exactly. Clearly something happened.
And Mooney himself was never able to speak on this. In 2021, people will wake up to the news that Paul Mooney just passed from a fatal heart attack.
Shock and sadness filled social media after news of Paul Mooney's death Wednesday at the age of 79.
Known for his roles in the Buddy Holly Story, Bamboozled, and Chappelle Show, he was also a writer on the Richard Pryor Show and Sanford & Son. Paul Mooney was 79.
Comics were not shy on showing this comedic icon some love and giving him his flowers.
But I cannot ignore the tremendous loss the comedy world has lost. Mr. Paul Mooney passed away.
A comedy giant, wrote Ava DuVernay. Yeah, the jokes, but more so the freedom. He spoke freely and fearlessly about feelings and experiences others found difficult to express. May he be truly free now.
Paul's a genius.
Paul Mooney's my favorite stand-up comic in the world. Paul Mooney. I like Richard Pryor, George Carlin, all of them, but Paul Mooney was my ultimate favorite comedian.
Paul walked up to the line and crossed the line about 7 times.
He's our vanguard.
Paul was who he was, blunt, hard, raw, real.
Dave Chappelle may have said it best. All comedians who believe they can't say anything, remember, Paul Mooney sacrificed stardom so he could say everything. So he did, and it made him a legend.
It would be the end of an illustrious career that would unseemingly be shrouded with dark rumors and allegations that would of course sit side by side with this brash style of comedy. A style that will pave the way for another group of comics to emerge that were also not fearless to take on these topics.
See, California used to be Mexico. It is Mexico. And the Mexicans want it back.
Saying this is what gives me the right, and don't you get it twisted. If y'all had California and you loved it, then you shouldn't have gave that up, nigga. Are you Mexican? Do you know where Mexico is? No, this ain't Mexico. It used to be Mexico. And now it's Phoenix, goddammit.
His voice is missing in today's comedy world. Though other comics take on these issues, no one has come forward as fearless and relentless to attack the system on stage as he did. He said things that needed to be said that others wouldn't say, and on top of that, he made you laugh.
And how he crafted it. It was funny, but it was also really smart.
As a stand-up comic, I can tell you first and foremost that there are people out there with styles such as Paul Mooney, but the last thing Hollywood wants is another Paul Mooney.
It's not my problem what you think or how you perceive me. I have nothing to do with it. I have no control over that. I have control over who I am and what I do and who I like. I like me. I have to like me to like others, you know? And so if you have all these hang-ups, these problems, there's nothing I can do.
Now, I did not make this documentary to throw flames on Paul Mooney's career because he's one of my personal favorites of all time. But there's no way to bring up his accomplishments without mentioning some of these allegations. I had to put in these allegations because first, over here on my page, we question everything. But also, if I didn't, the comment section will be filled with, yeah, but he. So I beat you to the yeah, but he. And that's a double entendre. You see, Paul Mooney is the best comedic writer of all time to me. When I first started doing comedy, you can even hear his style in some of my jokes.
Scare all you white people because y'all make up like 95% of the crowd tonight, so. I ain't got no problem with y'all, man. I saw 12 Years a Slave like 5 times and I still ain't got no problem with y'all. I think it was like the 4th time that I saw 12 Years a Slave where I was like, you know what? Man, Cotton, man. Cotton. Any of you Negroes in here wearing 100% cotton t-shirts, you need to be goddamn ashamed of yourselves. I hate cotton so much I stopped smoking weed because that shit made me cotton mouth. Like, I'm not voting for Hillary. You know, let's just go by the resumes, man. Look who she's married to, man. Like, all right, we know Bill Clinton worked well with the interns. Basically, what I'm trying to tell y'all is I'm not voting for Hillary because I can't trust the bill proposed by Hillary, just like Hillary can't trust the bill that proposed to her.
Comics such as myself, we have to run to platforms such as TikTok and YouTube because clubs have moved away from this form of comedy more toward LGBTQ theme style. And they just don't book these kind of acts anymore. Though these problems are just as prevalent as they were back then. It's sad how his legacy has been destroyed, and some may say that he helped put the knife in his back by his own actions. I wouldn't debate that. It's just his hard work and the impact will be much greater without these blemishes. And ultimately, I hope this documentary helps keep his name alive, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, I'm sure you'll like this other documentary that I did on Katt Williams. Well, anyways, you know how we like to end our videos over here at Moxy Approved, right? With that water. Rest in peace to Paul Mooney, and I see you here next time on Moxy Approved.